Hi Year 7s, it's time for us to do 20 minutes of reading. Now I've talked to you about why reading is so important to you. It improves your speed of reading, it improves your understanding of reading, and it improves your vocabulary, but you have to do it regularly, preferably every day. So we're about to do our 20 minutes worth of reading. Choose the book that you want to read. Now if you don't have any in your house, you can look at some of the digital online ones that I've put in the lesson descriptions below, but it's really important you find something that you want to read. I don't mind if it's a novel like this one, 2 Weeks with the Queen by Morris Gleitzman. We're going to be reading this later as a class. Or it could be a graphic novel, that's fine too. I know some of you like the graphic novels. Non-fiction is beautiful. How to push even news groups would be okay. Don't forget that your local library usually has digital editions of books online for you and magazines. So perhaps look into doing that if you're going to be home for a long time. So set a timer on your phone, or maybe get your parents to keep track of the time for you. Get yourself comfy. Got a beautiful cushion here. Got a drink ready to go. And read for at least 20 minutes. Now maybe you find that you really like your reading and you want to read a little bit more. That's totally fine. In fact, I would love that. But you would need to make sure that you've planned for later in the day when you're going to do the rest of this lesson's work. So minimum of 20 minutes. Let's go. Hey students, it's now time for that part of the lesson where we're going to move on to working on your short stories, your modern fairy tales that you've been working on last week. Now, I'm going to remind you of some things. You must make it have some sort of modern moral. So maybe don't use your mobile phones when you're walking, don't use them in class, perhaps don't talk to people online. Maybe theme it around bullying or treatment of others, anything that would make it have sort of a modern view. You've got to type or handwrite it up neatly, and it must follow the structure that we've been taught in class. Remember that you still have 2 ways you can do it. You can do it by rewriting an old fairy tale to make it modern, like The Princess and the Pea that we watched in class. But you can do something entirely new. Just remember to make it have those aspects of fairy tale, such as aspects of the supernatural, that 3-part structure, you know, the message to the people for their lives. Got to have those bits. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, because today you of course are moving from the plan that you did last week to your first draft, is don't lose sight of the narrative structure we've been using. So let's refresh that. First of all, you start off with the exposition. Someone's driving past. That's where you introduce the character, the kind of place that you're at, the kind of situation that they're in. Then you move to your first complication, first thing that kind of gets in the way of your character, first problem. Then the second complication, another problem. The way they sort out that problem might lead to your third complication. Now the third complication is the one where it's going to lead to the climax, where everything comes together. Now, whether you choose when you get to your climax to end it there and make it kind of like a cliffhanger, or if you choose to have a resolution that tells us what happens to the characters afterwards, either is perfect. I know some of you want to end with a murder because you're bloodthirsty and you want to have it like, and she opened the door and there was the wolf holding a knife. Yes, I have been listening to your planning. Entirely up to you. Both are beautiful structures. Just remember to do it because you choose to, because you want to, because you want your story to end there, not just because you kind of ran out of things to do. So remember, exposition, then we get on to the rising action, complication, 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 climax, and then if you want to, falling action which resolves it. Alright, set aside at least 20 minutes to work on this. If you want to put more time into it, we'd love that, but don't sacrifice your time working on other subjects. Alright, set a timer or ask your parents to keep track of the time and get to turning your plan of your short story into your draft.